Hello, dear friends, with you Naya. In this review, we continue to analyze the Mod 4 vehicles from Mr. Langusta. Last time we disassembled the mechanics, and now it's time to carefully examine all the cars, and at the same time look at what has changed in fashion for newer versions of the main, namely 1.15.2 and 1.16.4. If you haven't watched the previous videos, follow the link up there and watch that video first. So, cars. Since I built the tractor first, let's start with it. The tractor has just an awesome model. Other cars also have good models, but the tractor just somehow really sunk into my soul. It is good because you can attach various trailers to it and do some work. For example, work in the field. And now we will see how it is done. The first trailer that I recommend to you for a tractor is a seeder. Let's take the seeder by the coupling device with the right mouse button, drag it to the tractor from behind, and click again with the right mouse button on the tractor. It is not necessary to hit exactly the tow bar. All the seeder is attached. The second option is how you can attach the trailer, drive the tractor up to the trailer so that the tow bar is at the coupling device, and press Control. You will hear the sound of an anvil and the trailer will be fixed. Trailers are unhooked in the same way. Control if you want to unhook it without getting off the tractor, or right-click on the coupling device if you do it manually. If you want to get rid of the trailer that is pulling behind you, just sit down. But let's take a look at our seeder. Right-click on it, and we see that it is like one small chest. Here you need to put what you are going to sow there, that is any seeds. The seeds will be displayed inside the seeder, and look how cool it looks. You can pile up a variety of seeds, wheat, beets, pumpkins, potatoes, carrots, and all this mixed up. And you can see them right there as they lie there. When you go through the arable land, the seeder will plant a strip 3 blocks wide. When the field is sown, it would be nice to accelerate the growth of our crops in order to quickly get a harvest. A fertilizer spreader trailer will help us with this. He also has an inventory. It's also the size of one chest, and you can stuff bone meal in there. It is also displayed inside the trailer. When you go with this device, it will distribute bone meal to plants. By the way, it is not necessarily on arable land. You can ride it just on the grass if you need to restore your meadows, for example, under pasture. It acts in the same way as a seeder, on 3 blocks in a row, and at the same time it consumes 1 unit of fertilizer. That is, you fertilize 3 blocks at once with 1 flower. But I must note that the inventory volume of both the seeder and the fertilizer spreader is small enough so that you do not have to return to the base too often. You can use such an interesting trailer. It is equipped with a chest and is called a storage trailer or a storage trailer. You can put anything in it, and not just some specific items, like a seeder and an Obfuscate. In addition to the fact that it is equipped with inventory in one chest, it also has a tow bar at the back. That is, with the help of such trailers, you can make a whole road train. Keep in mind that when you attach trailers to the tractor, they slow you down. If there are too many trailers, this can significantly affect acceleration. But the ability to create a road train is not the only advantage of a storage trailer. The fact is that this trailer is able to transfer its contents to various devices. For example, if there is a seeder at the back, then he will be able to give seeds from his inventory to it. And if there is a fertilizer, then fertilizer. In addition, in all these 3 trailers, the seeder, the Obfuscate, and the storeroom, it is possible to load objects with the help of funnels if you make a loading station under which they can be driven. And in the same way, when hitting a funnel, their contents will be shipped from these trailers. The storeroom has the ability to collect all the items that are extracted by a lawn mower. A lawn mower is another vehicle that we really need. She mows grass, flowers and crops, cutting them with a strip 3 blocks across. So this thing will be very useful to you, and as I said, you can attach storage trailers to it for the convenience of harvesting. And if you put a seeder at the very end of the road train, you will not just harvest, but immediately sow it. Speaking of trailers, it is impossible not to mention such an important thing as a trailer for transporting cars. Not all vehicles can be loaded onto this trailer. For example, you will not put anything as large as an airplane, and SUV, a large boat, or a tractor there, as well as any types of trailers. But you can transport almost all other cars on it. To load the machine on the trailer, you need to lift it, go to the trailer and right-click in the squat. And in exactly the same way, with the right mouse button in the squat, you can remove the typewriter back, so there is no need to break the trailer. By the way, your friend or you can sit on that car that is in the trailer. So when someone drives a tractor, you can sit quietly and wait until you and your vehicle are taken to your destination. Liquid trailer. With this trailer, we can transport 1,000 buckets of liquid at a time, including vanilla and liquids for mods. However, again, for some reason it is impossible to pour milk. Apparently, the author of the fashion has lactose intolerance, but there are no problems with all other liquids. Why would you need to craft this trailer? But you may not be able to immediately afford to lay pipes to some distant source of liquid. And it's not a fact that this liquid will reach you from such far distances. Therefore, such a trailer is a good alternative. The filled liquid is visible through the glass of the tank. It is absolutely not necessary to fill and scoop it with buckets. It is enough to fit the trailer to a system of pipes and pumps. What is extremely important in this process is that the pipes for the supply and intake of liquid must be connected in the correct sequence, otherwise the system will not work. So, to fill the liquid, you pull the liquid pipes starting from the side where the trailer with the tank will drive up. So when installing the pipe, put blocks in place of the future tank. To take the liquid, you need to install a pump in the same way. Do not confuse it. When installing, put the unit in place of the future tank. Well, all you have to do is adjust your liquid trailer, and it will take and give away liquids. Very convenient. 8 Vesheka is the very first car added to the mod, and she has a model. I do not know. I think this is one of the most beautiful cars in fashion. You can hook trailers to the car, so in addition to the fact that it is beautiful, it is also very functional. In addition to the driver's seat, the ATV has a passenger seat in the back, which means that it is actually a 2-seater. So you can ride it with your friend and drag, for example, a transport trailer from behind with a vehicle loaded on it, in which your friends are also sitting. By the way, on the 12th version of the lane, in order to get into the passenger seat, you first need the driver to be already sitting in the car. The smart car, if someone does not know what it is, this is a class of cars of a particularly small size. You may have seen them somewhere in the cities. They have seats only in the front. There are no seats in the back. They are low power. The width is already ordinary cars, and the length is shorter. They were popularly called death capsules. So, in fashion, such car drivers are also present, and they are quite cool implemented. They even have a tow bar, so you can hook trailers to them too. In fashion, these cars are single, and they have an electric motor. And, by the way, they are quite nimble. I would say one of the fastest cars in fashion. In the fashion of Mr. Langusta, I like the SUV more than the ATV. No, just look at this beast. The chic model is simply beyond praise. And you know what? It can be ridden by 4 people. It's fucking awesome. By the way, those who sit in the back have custom positions. On the left, you will drive standing up like the coolest dude, and on the right, lounging like a boss. And yes, this car is also one of the fastest in fashion. The golf cart can carry 4 passengers. It has an electric motor, and it is quite slow. Well, with the help of wheels and a more powerful engine, you can make her drive faster. And although this is not my favorite car in fashion, I think Fortnite fans will appreciate it. Kart is probably the fastest machine. If you are a fan of racing, you may want to build yourself a racing track, make such cars, paint them in different colors, and race with your friends. For carousel lovers, there are such carousel cars. These are the only cars in fashion that can collide, but only with each other. Even if no one is sitting inside another car, you can drive it, crash into it, and it will bounce off with such a cool sound. And the more powerful you install the electric motor and accelerate faster, the more the machine will throw away. So if you want to build an entertainment park at home, perhaps you will not be able to do without such cars. Of the varieties of land transport in the fashion of Mr. Langusta, there are motorcycles and the like. The first of them is a moped. It's far from the fastest, but the good thing is that you can put a chest on the trunk and inventory slots will become available to you. To do this, you need to take the trunk in your hand and right-click it on the trunk. You can also remove the chest. For this you will need a wrench. You also need to pick it up and right-click it on the chest. But the mini bike that you see now is just the same, one of the fastest in fashion. It drives at the same speed as an SUV. Of course, the advantage of an SUV is that you can take friends with you, but on the other hand, it also has more expensive crafting. A children's tarantaka, which for some reason the author of the fashion is called a buggy. Why he called her that remained a mystery to me. Because in fact, buggies look like this. These are cars that are designed to drive on the sands. In my opinion, this thing looks more like a children's tricycle, although in this case it has a motor. It looks funny, very compact, but it's not the fastest. But in addition to engines and wheels, only multicolored concrete is used for its crafting. In addition to land transport, Mr. Langusta's mod also gives water transport, namely a jet ski, a high-speed motorboat, and an aluminum boat. A high-speed motorboat is the fastest of water vehicles. A jet ski is slightly behind her, but you can put a friend or girlfriend behind you on a jet ski. But in an aluminum boat, you can ride as many as 4. And there is also a single-seat sports airplane in fashion. And this is the fastest vehicle in fashion at all. It is controlled quite simply: take off, accelerate forward and jump, gain altitude, jump, drop to control. Right, left, forward as usual, double bayou, hey D, if you press C in flight. That is, as with a normal backward movement, then the plane begins to fall vertically. But don't worry, you won't be able to crash on this plane. For some, it may be sad, but that's exactly what the developer intended. On the ground, there is no movement back on the plane at all. A very interesting, but not yet brought to mind, thing: a shopping stroller or trolley. It's cool because you can sit in it, and besides, you can push it. That is, in theory, playing on the server with friends, you can sit in this stroller and roll each other. In addition, the developer was going to add more functionality, for example, the ability to put objects inside or plant mobs. But this functionality has not yet been finalized. You can get into the stroller by clicking on its body with the right mouse button. Of course, in survival mode, she herself will not go. You need someone to push her. To push the cart, you need to approach it from behind, hover the cursor over the back surface, sit down and press the right mouse button. But there is one flaw. You can push the cart only if someone is sitting in it. If you want to push an empty cart, then with such actions by default, the player does not take the handle, but lifts the cart over his head. To avoid this, you need to get into the config file, into the server settings, and prohibit the ability to lift vehicles. You see, Now I can push the shopping cart any way I want, even though it's empty. To release the cart, you need to sit down in the same way as you took it and right-click on the body of the cart from behind. However, there is a small tank with this thing. Sometimes in multiplayer, when you release the cart, your hands remain in the same position as they were when it was pushed. If this happens, then just log into the game. If you look at the Fashion tab, it's as if the vehicles ended there. But do not rush to switch this video, because in fact, there are 3 more unique vehicles in Fashion. However, in order to get them, you will have to install a furniture mod from the same developer, which is called MrCrayfish Vehicle mod. The first of these vehicles is a rooftop rave chair on wheels. To create it, you will need a small engine, wheels, iron ingots, and this chair itself. But there is one little trick here, which most likely no one has told you about yet. There is no crafting for such a chair by default. It is done with the help of a small Easter egg. You need to craft an ordinary chair out of Fashion 4 furniture from Mr. Langusta, and then call a tag the same as a Rafe sheep. That is, a jab with an underscore. Despite the fact that there is a crafting chair, I personally did not manage to ride it in survival mode. It simply does not have a hole for refueling. Apparently, it is more intended for a creative mode, but it can be beautifully placed somewhere in a corner in a nightclub. The next thing, in my opinion, is really a helicopter chair. It is also crafted from a chair, but exclusively red, and you need to attach a fan and an electric motor to it, plus a quarter of a stack of iron ingots. The helicopter seat is quite adequately refueled, and if desired, it can be delivered turnkey. The controls are very similar to how we control an airplane, but unlike an airplane, a helicopter chair is capable of vertical takeoff and landing, as well as backward movement. To take off, you need to wait until the screw is properly unwound and hold the jump. In flight, the propeller always deviates in the direction of flight and, as it were, pulls the chair behind it, which looks very plausible. Sideways movement is available in 2 ways. The first is a straight-line movement to the side using the D keys, and the second one is at the direction of the mouse cursor. In this way you can lay turns. If you do not maintain the height at times, then the chair will gradually decrease, and when you hold the control key, it will begin to decrease rapidly. Personally, I like the helicopter very much. It is extremely maneuverable, quite fast and very compact. This one will easily fit even on the roof of the smallest vanilla village hut. Well, and another stupor-inducing vehicle, and this is a flying bath. It is done with the help of a bath from the Fashion 4 furniture and the Stars of Nether. Engines are not required, as well as wheels. In survival mode, it flies without any fuel, which is perhaps the most remarkable of its properties. Its one-on-one control coincides with the airplane one. In flight, a plume of water splashes remains behind it, which looks very cool. But from the unpleasant moments, something is wrong with the textures. The player's head and the bottom of the bath itself become somewhat translucent. Everything that we have considered so far related to the Fashion 4, the version of the main 1.12.2. Well, now it's time to see what differences appeared in it for the 15th and 16th versions of Minecraft. The first thing that catches your eye is 2 new vehicles, a cross-country motorcycle and a gazelle. The crossover is the same speed as a mini bike, but unlike a mini bike, you can ride it together. Well, gazelle is the first transport capable of driving 5 players at once. And by the way, you can attach a trailer to it. The mechanics of the mod have also improved. You will no longer be able to ride cars underwater. As soon as you enter the water deep enough, you are thrown off. Now you can put the typewriter on the back wheel. To do this, you need to hold the forward and backward keys at the same time. And when you release the backward keys, it will jerk forward on the rear wheel and thereby get a speed boost for a couple of seconds. In addition, you can also make the sun shine by drifting around the front wheel. To do this, you need to hold down the forward, backward, and sideways movement keys, and then there was the opportunity to change the seat in the vehicle with the help of a key. By default, this is English C, Russian C. In addition, you can initially approach the typewriter and sit down in any place you like, simply by right-clicking on it. For the 12th version of the lane, this was impossible. The driver had to sit there first, and then only the passengers were seated. There are, of course, some shoals, but I think these are trifles, and they will be fixed sooner or later. One of the shortcomings of the fashion bothers me is that even cars with electric motors require refueling. Also, I don't like that you can enter a vehicle while holding another vehicle in your hands. But all this is more than compensated with wonderful animation and very good physics in fashion. Particles of smoke when driving and dirt when drifting, custom engine sounds for various cars, a very rich coloring scale for vehicles, an interesting tuning system using engines and wheels, a very well thought out position of the player when interacting with objects from the mod, when boarding vehicles in particular. The steering wheel and wheels are synchronized, and we can see this right on the model. If we throw the boat into the water, it will be pushed to the surface. And there are many more small similar details that not all mod developers pay attention to. I don't know what you think, but I personally have the best impression about this fashion. Be sure to share your thoughts in the comments below this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If so, don't forget to put your thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't subscribed yet, and look into the contact group. And that's it for today. Until we meet soon, bye-bye.